So I did write down on my notepad on that plane that I think this won't be one of the biggest decisions in my life. But you don't think of it like that, but it probably is. It's just not this glamorized that I stopped drinking and then everything changed. However, if I look back at the previous 2 or 3 years, by track records, I would have went like 6-8 weeks without drinking this year if I didn't say I was stopping just by the nature of how my life was going. But I would have got dragged into it. I reckon I'd have got dragged into it 20 times. If I went on holiday a few times, I would have drank. So I wouldn't have drank like once a month, but I may have went on holiday, drank 3 times. And then maybe the odd one, I would have just had a heavy night one time because someone would have been like, oh, it's my birthday, I'm turning 29, this is this big event. You're 29, mate, no one gives a fuck. Who cares about 29th birthdays? Oh, you got a new job? Why, Danny, you get cunted? Because you got a new job. No one cares. That's the sort of way that I feel. I'm going away for a year. We'll all get absolutely fucked. This is a special occasion. It's not. It's fucking not. Anyway, so I'd maybe get drunk 20 times. My hangovers post 25 are traumatizing. I feel like I could die at any moment. I remember 26, Scotland. I was 26, Scotland played England, drank all day. I woke up in the fetal position and I was on a 37th floor apartment or flat in London, and my windows were like the floor to the ceiling, so you could see a massive drop, and I was like, I might actually just try stick the nut in this window and just throw myself off it. That's how bad I felt. And that would have ruined 3 days of my life. So if I had drank 20 times that year, I would have lost the hangover definitely, and the night before. You're talking 2 or 3 days, so you're talking between 40 and 60 days, because I genuinely can't do a single thing when I'm hungover. I can't do any work at all. It's not worth it, and it'll actually stress me out more doing it. So I would have lost like 40, 60 days. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to have worked all those 40, 60 days. I've actually done probably the most amount of like holidays and stuff I've ever done this year. Like I went up Australia for 12 days and I was working in between, but only tiny bits. 6 days around Scotland this year, 6 days in Queensland. That's already like 25 days. That's more holidays than I usually take or have took since I started this as a job. I mean, self-employed, quite hard to do stuff like that. So it's not all being put into work, but work's going better. It's all more organised. Lot less stressful to run this year. Would I be in that position without stopping drinking? Would I? Fuck me. My systems would all still be all over the place. I would be fucking, clients would be leaving me because they wouldn't be hearing me for 2 days after I've maybe been drinking. All these sort of things like together, that's a ridiculously big change. It's just you don't have this euphoric feeling where you now can do these 12-hour days without a break. You're also, my levels of happiness, right? So this is something that I know for a fact a lot of people that are sober curious or have like a drinking problem, not a problem as in like they're addicted, but like both sides, that they're going to be ridiculously happy when you stop drinking. Absolutely not the case, but your baseline of basically see how you feel when you haven't drank for 5 days. I feel like that every day. Why would it be above that? You have to ask yourself why, because sometimes a lot of people will quit the not drinking because they haven't reached this elevated level of happiness, contentment and productivity. But realistically, the feeling I have is the exact same feeling that I had when I hadn't drank for 5 days. That's what I constantly feel like. And like, if your life is decent, then that will feel decent, but that's the way I would describe it. It feels decent. Life doesn't, there is no constant elation in life anyway. And we know that, most of us know that based off other things. Like, as in, like, if a relationship fixes everything in your life and makes you happy, it's probably going to go tits up. And you're probably going to come back down, because that's any relationship that's like that also probably won't work out, because the only reason it can bring you that high up is if you're that low by yourself. Do you know what I mean? So there's just gives you that constant baseline. But considering how low I was after drinking, I'll take the baseline all day long, and I would still call that happiness. But it's only because I would change the definition. For me, even though I will say the word happy, what I really mean is content. And content's good. Especially when I've never suffered with depression, but I've had bad anxiety. I've had rough patches in life. I've had circumstantial things with family and stuff that have had me through rough patches with anxiety. So when you can actually look back and go, oh, or the good thing is I've maybe wrote notes. I wouldn't say a journal every day, but I've wrote maybe like notes, or like I've had notepads when I've went through rough patches. I just need to read that, because like the only reason I know I was in a wee bit of a rough and low spot before I started this, when I was on that plane, is because I read it back and I was like, oh fuck, I'm like feeling dead unconfident, feeling like I need to make these radical changes because I've lost my personality and I can't really speak the way I usually speak when I'm out. I was like, fuck, I was going through it. And then I remember, fuck, I was actually quite upset when I was writing this down. But it makes me appreciate now being content.